All right, everybody. So here we are. We are live, and it is Happy Friday Day to all of you guys. Happy Friday, 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 Friday. By the way, oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I forgot to I'll hook the mic up. You're right. There we go. Now you're probably thinking, well, that's much better. That's much better. Although this dumb thing keeps falling off this microphone. So just hang tight with me for a second because it's going to make a lot of noise. Let me just unplug it. Hold on, because I don't want you to hear that. So hold on. Yeah, this microphone, every time the sound, the little thing on this microphone, it always comes off. You barely just tap it and it falls right off. So there we go. Now we're going to plug everything up. Okay. There we go. Now we're cooking with bacon or cooking with something. I don't know what the saying is. Well, hello everybody. Welcome. It's Friday. It's Friday. Happy New Year to all of you. Happy New Year's to all. Let's see. Again, here comes a troll. Why are you talking about demons? Give glory to God. I do. Actually, I wish that you would be here on Sundays and Wednesdays when we do Bible study. I wish you would actually be here Monday through Friday when we do night prayer every Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We teach about demons. We teach about the dangers of demons. And we also teach about calling upon God. So before you judge, maybe you should learn that you should have all the facts first. I just don't understand. Anyway, I'm Bishop James Long, and I appreciate you guys being here. Already getting criticism, haven't even started the show, but that comes with the territory. That comes with the territory. Listen, a couple things. I want you to do me a favor, and I want you to go to this website. Now, these are our producers, kgradb.com. So again, that's KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. I'll answer questions in just a second. But make sure that they have some amazing shows there. But make sure if you're going to subscribe, it's very inexpensive. Put Bishop as your promo because you're going to get 30% off your subscription. So why not? I mean, it's going to save you some money. There you go. And also, my website's very simple. How much you spend on your private jet? Listen, if I had a private jet, I wouldn't be doing a TikTok show. I'm just saying. I mean, come on. A private jet. I guess I have a private jet now. I wish, boy, I tell you, I can't even afford commercial, no, let alone a private jet. Oh gosh, you gotta love them. I tell you what, you folks out there, you tricksters. All right, my website, bishopjameslong.com. bishopjameslong.com is my website. And of course, if you want to go to the church's website, well, there you go. Very easy. usocc.org. That is all the information. See, I gave you all the information. You didn't have to ask. That's how good we are here. We want to give you everything. They have some really fantastic, by the way, they have some fantastic shows on kgradb.com. So please, your private jet would be called Bishop One. There we go. I like that. We'll say Bishop One. Do I believe in witchcraft? I believe people practice witchcraft. Yeah. I guess that's what you're asking. So yeah, you Bishop One. We'll have to trademark that. Yeah. I know. They always ask what church, and that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's our church, usocc.org. Now, first of all, before the hater gators start going, before the hater gator starts talking about my private jet, I mean, dude, if I had a private jet, I would have a better background. I mean, seriously, come on. I would at least have a digital fancy studio. Man. Okay. Well, you just seriously, it's almost like, oh man, what are you going to do? So yes, Happy New Year, all you guys. Hopefully your New Year has been going well, and you haven't been trolled too much. Now, listen, I want to talk to you guys about something real quick before we get into our presentation today. First of all, our church, for the hater gators out there and for the trolls, let me just share something. We don't get paid as clergy. So believe it or not, I do this for absolutely free. So no private jet. Haven't won the lottery yet. So I just have to deal with my, how old was my car now? 17, 18-year-old car. Is he 18, 17? Yeah, I think it's 18 years old, 19 years old. Yeah, it's pretty old. No, 19 years old. It's a 19-year-old car. So I have to deal with my 19-year-old vehicle that's going to get me to my private jet. But anyway, here's the deal. We have an upcoming retreat, and it's in March. You're invited. If you'd like to join, you're more than welcome to. We have folks who are going to be receiving ordinations to the priesthood, who are going to be receiving no payment, no stipend from the church, no compensation whatsoever, just like me, no compensation. We do this because we truly have a passion to do ministry, and for free. But if you, and they have to pay for these expenses. It's not cheap. So thank you very much, Kofi. I appreciate that. But if you guys want to go to the website, usocc.org, click on the retreat button. And we have some, you can donate there. We do have to get the donations up for Bill. Deacon Bill, he only accepts Cash App. That's the only thing he has that's available. But if you want to donate to the church directly, usocc.org, I'll make sure that he gets that. Just tell me in the notes, this is for Bill, and then I'll make sure that he gets whatever donation. He's really low. We're trying to, it's about $300 or $400 for this retreat for each person. And that doesn't include, Deacon Sean has to fly. So USOCC. And yeah, just if you would do us a favor and help our deacons, I would certainly appreciate that, and so would they. But deacons, maybe you guys don't have to worry about that. I can just hop in the private jet and drive and fly down to your homes and your airports and pick you up in the Rolls Royce. See, that's what we could do, and we have it all figured out. We have it all figured out on my Phantom 5 Rolls Royce, and I'm going to pick you up in my, I don't even know what they call a private jet. Let's just call it that, because I don't know the name of them. So we'll pick you up in the private jet and fly you off there to Illinois. Yeah. A G6? Is that what is a G6? Well, Eli Roth's show went pretty well. I'm the pilot. No. I wouldn't even get in that. What is a G? Oh, it's a jet. Well, what happened to a 737 or 747? They don't call them 747s anymore, or 737s. So apparently there's a G6. There's a G6 plane. I don't know. What's the difference between a G5, G6, G4? What are you going to do? Listen, the closest that I'm going to get to a G6 is a model plane. But that's okay. Well, hello there, Ireland. Hello. I appreciate you guys being here. Tonight, we're going to talk about a really cool topic. Well, thank you very much. Oh, please. We'll keep doing that, and we'll buy the private jet. Here's the deal. Tonight, we're going to talk about a really cool topic, and a topic that affects everybody. Not everybody, but a lot of folks, because I get asked this topic all the time, no matter if I'm doing a conference, if I'm doing these shows, people always ask about sleep paralysis. And I understand, because it really is true. I believe there's black magic. It's evil. Black magic is evil. Black magic is demonic. So just stay away from, obviously, anything that's going to invoke demons, any type of activity that's going to invoke demons. There's nothing good that's going to come from that. Nothing. What you see behind me here, what you guys can't see it, but it's off screen, is the let's see, there. That is the one and only doll that was on the Legion of Exorcists show, and that actually is the doll that I took from the home that caused that terrible accident, the fire in the home. But this is it. This is the doll, and I'm not taking it out of its case. I won't do that. Sorry, but you can't really see it because it has that glare on it. But Yeah, there's a lot of glare on it. But anyway, that's the people have asked me what I'll do. I'll do it this way. And then I'm going to take it down because people keep asking about it all the time. So this is the doll. This is what it looks like. And you can see there's the burnt marks here, the fire stains on the bottom, and then a lot of them on the back. We can't see because there's a glare there, but you guys can see a picture there. That's where the burnt marks are, is on the sleeve. Yep, it's hard to show you. So I'm going to, because this is a heavy case. Well, I knocked the microphone down. See? That's what happened. Got to put the microphone back up. But yeah, that's a terrible doll. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. It's definitely not something that I think people should play around with or mess with. Put that's safe to put that on there. So tonight we're talking about messing with my microphone. Sleep paralysis. Oh, I have it in case. Yeah, nope. I'm not taking it back out. This is a bad thing. This doll is not a good thing at all. There's nothing good about it. It is evil. It is there one time. This is it. So no more asking. And the burnt marks you can see on the legs and you can see on the arms. That's the doll that I actually also took to not Waverly Hills, Louisville Paranormal. They had a big, Louisville Paranormal conference, and what happened is I brought that doll to the conference, and people kept telling me to take it out of its case. Take it out of its case, take it out of its case, and I really didn't want to, but they kept telling me. A whole room of people were there. Oh, just take it out, take it out, take it out. So I took it out of its case, and I said, okay, and I held it up. And no one wanted to touch it. No, everybody said, put it away. Just no. It was making people sick. So I said, okay, fine. And the story was when I was going to put it back in its, case that's blessed. And when someone asked me a question, I got distracted and I put the doll right next to a laptop that I had been saving for a long time. And a long, long time to get a laptop and to do my presentations. And as soon as I turned around to address the question, a firefighter in the front row said, Bishop Long, turn around. I turned around and my laptop was on fire. Now, I've seen a lot of things in my life. I have never seen something like that in my entire life. And the entire room, everybody in the entire room saw that. So it was witnessed by everybody. And that was, that was in Louisville, the paranormal conference that they have there. Well, they used to have with Keith Age. Keith Age is the one who pretty much organized it. But it was, you hear about you hear about a lot of these crazy objects. And when I went to the family's house, as I mentioned, this was a 3-story home. And when I went there, they bought this thing. A week later, 2 weeks later, really violent activity was occurring in their home. But they couldn't figure out what was going on. And then the whole house burnt down to a crisp. This was a big, like a McMansion home. And everything had burnt down to a crisp. And the only thing there that was standing in this big 3-story home was an ornate metal bookshelf. And this doll was sitting on the top shelf. And what I don't understand. Even the firefighter there, the chief actually told me he doesn't understand how in the world this doll did not melt, because it's porcelain. And the only thing that actually you can see are the burnt fires on the sleeves and on the bottom. That's it. And you can actually still smell the burning. It smells like, burnt wood. You can smell it. So I don't think it's out of its case anymore. I just don't do it. We'll get to the topic in just a second. But when I went to Los Angeles for the show, Legion of Exorcists show, they asked me to bring it. So because they had to recreate the scene and they wanted to use the doll. And so I think, well, how in the world am I going to do this? How am I going to bring it? So I used everything that I needed to do and I didn't check it in. I had it with me. And we were late for like 2 or 3 hours. It was a long time because a light bulb kept popping in the cockpit. And the captain kept coming over and said, folks, I've been, flying for 40 years. There's this light that keeps popping, keeps going out. We replace it. It keeps going out. I can't explain it. And I've been in, blah, blah, blah. I've been doing this for all these years and this has never happened. And I'm thinking, should I take the doll off the plane now? I'm thinking maybe I should just get off this plane. But I took it out and I blessed it one more time. They were able to replace it, fight the bulb for the 5th time. And then finally we were able to take off. But yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. But yeah, that was the first episode. So I have no idea if they're going to renew it. I don't know. But it's kind of crazy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I blessed it again. And it's like, well, okay. So let's talk about this topic because I do want to talk about these things that people are collecting on the second hour. People are collecting all these items. And yeah, that's right. Now, people always say, well, why do you do this? Why do you do this? Well, why wouldn't I do it? I'm an exorcist. It is my job to teach about them. And as a person, I have a master's of education and I understand teaching methodologies. You can show and you can talk about a particular doll all day long. But there are some people who learn differently. Not everybody learns through a lecture style. So if you show them, they can experience it. They're around it. They have their senses. They understand it. Now they can put a picture. They can see it. And it helps. It helps people when you give them, this is the target. This is the item. And when you're doing this, you teach about it. And I teach about the dangers of collecting these things. Stay away from them. Stay away from these things. There's nothing good that's going to come from them. Nothing. So I collect them. I take them out of people's homes. I bless these items. I teach about these items and what has occurred in people's homes so that people will stop collecting them and stop selling them. I know people who there are individuals who go online and they sell these items and they actually place a curse on these items for the sole purpose of activity, hoping that activity will occur. So when people bring these things home, then the people say, well, I told you it was haunted, just so they can get, higher ratings or whatever. So I actually know people who have placed curse on these objects and who've told me blatantly, well, yeah, I placed curse on them. So stay away from it. There's nothing good's going to come from it. All right. Yeah, and keep in mind, folks, as clergy, I've been doing this for over 20 years. So this is not something that I'm new. I do teach about these, but I have John Wayne Gacy paintings. I have a pair of Dahmer's glasses that people are buying this stuff, and then they're wondering why activity is occurring in their home. Crazy. Well, no, tonight we're going to talk about, for the first hour, we're going to talk about sleep paralysis. That's what we're going to discuss. Sleep paralysis. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll take your questions. But that's what we're going to do for right now. And we'll talk about the devil. Believe me, we'll definitely talk about the devil. So for the first hour on TikTok, I'm only going to put sub chats only because people who are subscribing to the TikTok platform, I appreciate that. And it's my way of showing appreciation. And if you have questions on subscribers, you can certainly ask questions here on the first hour, as many questions as you want, because you're subscribing. So I certainly appreciate you guys doing that. So thank you for subscribing. Yeah. Sleep paralysis. I know. It's a crazy thing. It is a crazy, crazy thing. It seems like as I mentioned prior to talking about this topic here, it seems like no matter where I go, people are always asking about sleep paralysis. The other day I went into McDonald's because I was getting coffee. And someone said, I think I know you. I was like, well, okay, I'm sorry. But and they had mentioned the paranormal stuff. I think they were just trying to see if, I said, well, yeah, I'm kind of in the paranormal. And we talked a little bit more. And apparently they're a fan of the paranormal television shows. And they just had this long conversation with me in McDonald's, about 20 minutes, about their experience with sleep paralysis. And their pastor told them that because they weren't going to church every week, they weren't tithing every week, that it was God's way of punishing them. That's stupid. Hold on. Subscribers can, for the first hour, subscribers can ask questions on the first hour, as many questions as they want. It kind of gives them, because they're subscribers, they're subscribing to the channel, it gives them the opportunity to ask questions, because at 8 p.m. there's so many questions I can't get to them. Feel free, if you're a subscriber, feel free to ask questions the first hour. The second hour is for everybody. All right, let's get into this, everybody. Sleep paralysis is a temporary inability to move or speak that occurs during the transition between sleep and wakefulness. So yeah, I know, I agree, Judy Ann. Isn't it terrible? It is a natural occurrence that often happens when a person is falling asleep or waking up. Now, during sleep paralysis, the brain is awake and aware, but the body is temporarily paralyzed. So people who experience sleep paralysis may feel a sensation of pressure on their chest, or even sometimes feel like they're being suffocated. And they may also experience hallucinations or vivid dream-like experiences. Sleep paralysis can be terribly frightening, absolutely frightening, no question, as it can be accompanied by a sense of impending danger or a feeling of being watched or seeing this horrible, terrible figure standing in your room 10 feet away from you, looking right at you. And there's nothing you can do. You are completely paralyzed. Sleep paralysis is thought to occur due to a disruption in the normal sleep cycle. That is the explanation for sleep paralysis. And I talked to a neurosurgeon once on my show, and he gave a great lecture on sleep paralysis. And he said that factors that can contribute to sleep paralysis include sleep deprivation, irregular sleep patterns, stress. He mentioned stress several times, and certain sleep disorders such as narcolepsy. Now, again, I want to make this very clear. Of course, I'm not trained in the medical field, but because I had the neurosurgeon on, he was brilliant. I wish I could get him on again, but obviously he's very busy. He had a one-time opportunity. This was several years ago. But I have all the notes that he gave, all the notes. So while sleep paralysis is generally harmless and does not require medical treatment, he said, it can be managed by practice good sleep hygiene and managing stress levels. Sleep paralysis is a phenomenon that occurs when a person is temporarily unable to move or speak while transitioning between sleep and wakefulness. It's often accompanied by hallucinations. And some people actually talk about like a pressure on the chest. Oh, it happens more on your back. Yeah. If you're on your side. Yeah. That's what I hear that as well. And the exact cause of sleep paralysis, the neurosurgeon said it's not really fully understood, but it is believed to involve a disruption, as I mentioned, in the normal sleep cycle. So during sleep, this is very important. So everybody who asks about sleep paralysis, this is directly from a neurosurgeon. So during sleep, the brain goes through different stages, including what is called rapid eye movement, otherwise known as REM sleep, that's when dreams occur. When you have REM, REM, you go into REM. That's why people who take propofol, they never go into REM. They're never going to sleep. So they never go into that sleep state. So therefore, it is a 0% chance of dreaming in propofol. It can't happen. 0% chance. That's why one of the reasons why when I had my near-death experience, when I saw my mom, I had Dr. Jeffrey Long on, who's a world-leading expert on near-death experience, says, well, you died. Because there's no way you can dream during propofol. It's not possible. 0% chance. But during REM sleep, and REM stands for rapid eye movement, the brain sends signals to temporarily paralyze the muscles, preventing us, why? From physically acting out our dreams, which makes a lot of sense, because if it didn't, then if we're having a partner next to us, obviously that could be a problem. So in sleep paralysis, it is believed that the brain either enters REM, REM, rapid eye sleep too quickly upon waking up, or stays in the state of muscle paralysis longer than usual. Okay, so this can lead to a temporary disconnect between the brain and the body, resulting in the experience of being unable to move. So that explains why there's a paralytic state. The brain is in REM, and the subconscious is taking control of the breathing, the natural elements that we do when we're sleeping. So that explains this. Remember, I always look at the logic first. People always tell me all the time, that they have issues with this. So let's look at the logic. Now, there are several factors, according to the neurosurgeon, that can contribute to the occurrence of sleep paralysis. I've talked about it earlier, sleep deprivation. Now, he said a lack of sufficient sleep can disrupt the normal sleep cycle and increase the likelihood of experiencing sleep paralysis. So if you have a lot of sleep paralysis, are you sleep deprived? Also, he said, focus on if you have irregular sleep schedule, which means frequent changes in sleep patterns can disrupt the body's internal clock and increase the risk of sleep paralysis. So I said, well, explain that to a layman. That's all fine. But what does that mean? He said, okay, well, let's say you normally go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. Okay. And you normally get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Your body becomes naturally absorbed to that. It is just aware of it. It builds an internal clock. But now you're throwing your internal clock out of whack, and you don't go to bed till 2 o'clock and don't get up until 8 o'clock in the morning. You have completely disrupted your sleep pattern. So because of that, or let's say you go to bed at 2 o'clock and wake up at 4 or 5, and then the next morning, the next day, everything is all messed up. So that can increase the likelihood of experiencing sleep paralysis. Irregular sleep schedule. So like I mentioned, frequent changes in sleep patterns can disrupt the body's internal risk and increase the sleep paralysis. He also mentioned this, sleep disorders. So we'll talk about what's called recurrent isolated sleep paralysis and isolated sleep paralysis. Those are two different things. So one thing that he mentioned is conditions such as narcolepsy and insomnia and even sleep apnea can actually increase the likelihood of experiencing sleep paralysis. And again, this is a neurosurgeon who studied, obviously, so he would know. So and he also said, if you have what's called recurrent isolated sleep paralysis, which means it happens often, he thinks you should get tested for narcolepsy or at least insomnia or sleep apnea, one or the other. And now the sleep positions. And one thing that the neurosurgeon said on the show is sleeping on your back can actually increase the chances of experiencing sleep paralysis. But technically, it can occur in any sleep position. But he has found that people who are sleeping on their back, more often than not, they are the ones who have sleep paralysis episodes. Now, as far as hallucinations, this is one of the big things, big topic, big issues. In terms of hallucinations experienced during sleep paralysis, their neurosurgeon said that these are thought to be a result of the brain still being in a dream-like state while the person is partially awake. So the hallucinations can range from mild to extremely vivid and may involve seeing, hearing, feeling things that are actually not there. This happens a lot. This is also known as the old hag syndrome. So although sleep paralysis can be a frightening experience, it is generally harmless. And it typically lasts only a few seconds, sometimes a few minutes. Now, the reason is that sleep paralysis occurs as far as these projection, because it is during the subconscious is where we dream. And many times we may not remember our dreams. So you may not remember that you're actually having a nightmare. And that during this nightmare, this monster has come chasing after you. You just simply don't remember it. When the conscience is under REM and it's trying to now take control of the body, control the motor functions, it's still, your body is still in a catalytic state. Your subconscious is now projecting that image that you are experiencing in a dream. And many times he said, this is what causes the projection of the image, and they always disappear after a certain amount of time. And the reason is they disappear at a certain amount of time because your consciousness is now leaving REM. And so therefore, that's when they vanish away. Now, we'll talk about demons because everybody wants to talk about demons. We'll talk about demons and when to be concerned about sleep paralysis. But I want to make this very, very abundantly clear. Anybody who says that all sleep paralysis is demonic needs to really stop talking about this topic, because they're absolutely not trained. They have not done more homework. And what they do is they scare people, because there's quite a few people who experience sleep paralysis, and they experience these projection of this horrible image in front of them. And then when you have someone who claims to be an expert in this field telling you that, oh, you experience demons, that's a demon, that person has received their education in demonology from a Cracker Jack box, plain and simple, because they think everything's a demon, and it's not. I always look at the logical explanation first. That's the first thing that I look for, because there's usually a logical explanation. So in the case of demons, in case of this projection, it doesn't mean you have a demon that's ready to get you. It means that you're suffering from some type of sleep disorder. Now, managing sleep paralysis usually involves improving sleep hygiene, such as maintaining a regular sleep schedule, getting enough sleep, managing stress levels. Why is stress levels important? I asked the neurosurgeon. I saw, you've mentioned this several times. Why? He's like, many times when you dream and you're under a tremendous amount of stress, a lot of people will fight an enemy or fight something that's trying to harm them. That harming them, that enemy, is actually what's causing them stress in life. And it's all these factors are contributing to their anxiety, to the stress. And that actually represents what's causing them the stress. And so whether it be the monster or whatever it might be, and you're trying to fight this monster, you're trying to beat it up, you're trying to make it go away. The same as we would consciously try to make a problem, deal with the problem, make it go away. So this is an issue. And we say when you are high, when you're in incredible stress, then your brain, more often than not, creates these nightmare scenario situations. And when you're in sleep paralysis, then your brain is going to project those images. So if sleep paralysis becomes frequent or significantly affects your daily life, then obviously you need to consult a healthcare professional. Because I would say 9 times out of 10, you're dealing with something that can be explained logically. So again, all these demons, it really gets on my nerves, because it's kind of like every time you turn around, there's always someone saying it's a demon, and it's just simply not true. Okay, so let's talk about some other risk factors that the neurosurgeon had given during the show. He said it could also be genetic factors. Some conditions have a genetic basis, meaning they are caused by certain gene variations or mutations that are passed down through families. So I said, well, explain that to me. So you're telling me that experiencing, sleep paralysis with this projection of these demons, that could actually be genetic. He said, yes. And that's when I began to think, now, wait a minute, this is really interesting, because I've had people come to me. Well, my grandmother had this experience. My grandma had this experience all the time. My mom had this experience. Now I'm having this, where they're seeing demons in their dream. And they immediately deduce that because of that, they have a generational curse. It's not a generational curse at all. It's genetics. And this is one of the most important things that I think that I do regarding my presentations is teach. I'm not interested. I am not interested in sensationalizing. I'm interested in teaching. Because when you learn a different perspective, the logic perspective, then you realize, well, there might be a reason why some people may think that they have a genetic curse or a family curse when in fact they don't. Now, he also mentioned environmental factors. So exposure to certain environmental factors or toxins, it actually can increase the risk of developing certain health conditions. Like he even mentioned smoking, pollution, radiation exposure, chemicals. All these can alter the brain. He thinks also that it's unhealthy lifestyle, such as habits of smoking, excessive alcohol consumption, poor diet, lack of physical activity, can contribute to various health conditions, meaning it affects the sleep, because that is where in sleep paralysis we are affected by this. Also, he mentioned age. So age is a risk factor for many conditions. Some health problems become more problematic or increase as we get older. Again, with our sleep patterns. Gender, certain health conditions are more prevalent in one gender over the other. For example, I have found, and this is just from my experience, from my own cases of true, sleep paralysis episodes that are not demonic in nature, but sleep paralysis episodes that are reported. I have found that the majority of ghastly, horrible, vicious, disfigured projectiles as far as creatures seem to be in women. Whereas in men, it seems to be in the old hag syndrome, where at first the sleep paralysis episode is not aggressive at all. It's welcoming. I mean, it's a human body, human nature, and it's not rejected, but it becomes so intrusive that what happens is then it's no longer hiding its disfigurement, and you actually see the true projection. You actually see this true identity. That actually happens more often in men as far as sleep paralysis episodes. Now, when it comes to demonic, I have not found a kind of a common denominator as far as women versus men, but I have found that in cases of sleep paralysis, there does seem to be some type of difference in reports, which is interesting. Having a family history of certain conditions, sleep apnea, other conditions that could be genetic, could be a problem. Now, the consequences and impacts refers to the outcomes and effects that occur as a result of certain actions. So there's a lot of consequences and impacts that affects a person who has sleep paralysis. Now, this is what he said. One, if you really want to get help, psychotherapy, also known as talk therapy. It involves working with trained therapists to address specific concerns such as anxiety, depression, trauma, relationship issues, different approaches. There's also, he suggested what's called cognitive behavioral therapy, well, otherwise is known as CBT for short. There's also dialectical behavioral therapy. There's psychodynamic therapy. There are so many different type of therapeutic ways that you can get help if you're dealing with this consistent sleep paralysis episodes. But we're going to talk about demons in just a second. Now, in some cases, medication can be prescribed to help manage these symptoms. So antidepressants, he said, anti-anxiety medications, mood stabilizers, these are commonly used to treat people who have what's called recurrent isolated sleep paralysis, otherwise known as RISP. He also suggests the mindfulness meditation, deep breathing exercise. All this is to reduce the anxiety, which seems to be, that truly does seem to be a trigger with sleep paralysis that is not demonic related. There does seem to be some type of And whether anxiety, frustration, something going on in that person's life, it seems that there's something is there. So he said yoga. So, and by the way, yoga is not evil. Anybody who says yoga is evil really needs to just come out of the medieval ages. Come on. Now, I do yoga. I'm an exorcist for the church, and I believe Jesus Christ, my personal Lord and Savior. I don't worship any other God, Yahweh. That's it. So this whole thing that yoga is evil, it was like just take a chill pill. Go drink a wine cooler and just go sit on the beach somewhere to really just chill. Listen to some St. John Denver music and relax. Yoga is not evil. There's nothing evil about yoga. Yoga is strength. It's muscle strengthening. And I tell you what, if I did not do yoga, I would be in a wheelchair. And I have stenosis, degenerative disc disease. I have herniated disc, all from playing football, injuries from the neck, injuries from the back. I do yoga for muscle strengthening. If I did not, I would be in trouble. As a matter of fact, when I used to, I used to be very heavy, and that contributed. But when I was at Mass, there were times that I was literally hunched over on the altar because my back was in so much excruciating pain. And I would literally was bent over during liturgy, during Mass, because I couldn't stand up straight. But yeah, I've lost the weight, but I also began yoga. And if it hadn't been for yoga, I truly believe that I'd be in a different situation. So all these people, oh, yoga's the evil, shut up. Just shut up. Just go take a chill pill. Just like I said, go drink a wine cooler and just look at the ocean and see how pretty it is or something. I don't know. Just relax. Just relax. It's going to be okay. So do yoga. You embrace that yoga, everybody. You embrace it. Now, I understand there's some people get a little crazy, but yoga is wonderful. Yoga is wonderful. I strongly endorse yoga. Okay. Also, he suggests support groups. There's a lot of people out there who have recurrent isolated sleep paralysis, and it's frightening to them. And also, here's a $25 term that I didn't know what it meant, but cognitive restructuring. What in the world is cognitive restructuring? How do you do that, doctor, neurosurgeon? Well, this is how he described cognitive restructuring. So if you have what's called isolated sleep paralysis or recurrent or isolated sleep paralysis, cognitive restructuring, there are techniques. It involves challenging and changing negative thought patterns or irrational beliefs. And that can be done in conjunction with therapy or through, of course, help with resources. So here's, and I always tell you this. If you're going to be a victim in your mind, then you're going to be a victim in reality. Because you are manifesting that projection. You're manifesting that reality. So no matter what I go through in life, no matter what, and I'm an exorcist. I take on demonic cases. But I'm telling you, I never, ever give demons the benefit of the doubt. I never give them the credit for causing life and misery in my life. I don't ever do it. Because my mantra is I will not be your victim. So if you think everything is demonic, then you're going to project that demonic activity. You're projecting that, you're manifesting that. Now, I truly believe that people have this urge to believe everything is demonic. It is not. So if you're going to think that everything in your life that happens is bad is because of the demons, they are going to take that credit. Believe me, they're going to take it. And you're going to continue. And before you know it, now you have a victim mentality. And you have a victim mentality to what? To cockroaches? To parasites? These are cowards. Why would you be a victim to a coward? That's what they are. They're cowards. People all the time go, don't you ever get scared? No, of course I don't get scared. Why would I get scared of a cockroach? Why would I get scared of a coward? I stand toe to toe, face to face with a coward. I don't back down from cowards. And I'm certainly not going to back down from a dirty, rotten, low-life, egg-sucking dog demon who only attacks you when you're most vulnerable. See, a demon won't attack you when you're strong and ready to go. No, no, the demons. Well, demons are wise. They're not stupid, and they know because they're not going to attack you. You're creating the image of God, and when you stand in persona Christi and say, "Okay, come on, you're not going to intimidate me. You're not going to." As a matter of fact, I'm intimidate you. Here's how I'm going to do it: Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And then you get a reaction. See, there's no negotiation. There's no give and take. I'm not intimidated at all with these parlor tricks that demons do, and neither should you be. But if you're going to increase demons over your life, and if you're going to feel intimidated by them, then they're going to take it and they're going to amplify that. And then you, before you even know it, you have victimized yourself. And maybe demons had nothing to do with your issues. Nothing at all. But you're giving them credit for everything. So that's it. You just stop. You just stop. You have to remember, I've told you guys before, and I mean this. The moment you begin to pray is the moment demons tremble in fear. Now, if you believe this and you know this to be true, then there is no reason for you ever to consider yourself to be a victim under any circumstances. Under any circumstances. And if you have faith in God, knowing, you know what? You're not going to hurt me. You're not going to harm me. You're not going to scare me. You're not going to intimidate me. There's nothing you can do to me that's going to intimidate me because I don't fear death. I have no fear of death because I know where I'm going at the end. And I have no fear whatsoever of death. As a matter of fact, death is my complete and total victory over any type of demon and Satan himself, because I know I'll be into the eternal heaven, and so will you. We'll be there. We'll listen. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise, demon or not. Now, I have a couple articles that I want to talk to you, and then 8 o'clock, I'm going to open it up for everybody on our conversation. Fair enough? Okay. And even Mr. Producer, I think we'll give Mr. Producer a ticket there, a ticket to heaven. Although Mr. Producer, he talks in my ears sometimes, and it's like, dude, what are you going to do? We'll leave him alone, though. We'll leave Mr. Producer alone. He's going to get a lot of snow. They're going to get no, actually, I'm pretty jealous of you, Mr. Producer. And he's going to get I think he said a foot of snow. He had to rub that in. Because I love snow. And I think Mr. Producer knows that. So we'll have to talk, give God a call and say, hey, Mr. Producer is being mean. All right, everybody, listen to this. This is a great article, and I wanted to present this to you, and I'll get the questions in just 1 second. This is from Medical News Today. So you wake up in the middle of the night, convinced that an evil figure is lying in wait. You attempt to move, but your body just will not budge. You try to scream, but nothing comes out. The monster draws closer. It may sound like a horror movie scene, but this is a real deal, and you're experiencing sleep paralysis. This terrifying and mysterious sleep disorder, or what's called, in some cases, parasomnia. Well, a new word for everybody. Parasomnia has been experienced by people possibly since the dawn of humankind. And it may have given rise to numerous ghost stories and mysterious accounts involving things that go bump in the night. Now, the most unsettling experience was first clearly documented in the medical treatise in the 17th century by Dutch physician Isbrand van den Broek. Actually, this is, they've been talking about cases of incubus and succubus in the ancient Mesopotamia. But this is actually it's clearly documented medically in the 17th century. And he wrote about the case of a woman. She was 50 years of age. She was in good health. She was strong, but she complained about mysterious experiences at night. Says when she was composing herself to sleep, the doctor says, sometimes she believed the devil lay upon her and held her down. Sometimes that she was choked by a great dog or thief lying upon her chest so that she could hardly speak or breathe. And when she endeavored to throw off the burden, she was not able to stir her members, her bodies, her legs, her arms. So what the woman in the doctor's account likely experienced was a condition that has come known as sleep paralysis. Now, researchers define sleep paralysis as a common, generally benign, that means not dangerous, parasomnia characterized by brief episodes of inability to move or speak combined with waking consciousness. So that's the new word that people are now using for sleep paralysis is parasomnia. Instead of insomnia, parasomnia. So the reasons why sleep paralysis is so scary is not just because you will suddenly become alert, but realize that you are in fact unable to move a muscle or even utter a sound, but also because this experience is often, as in the case above that we talked about, accompanied by terrifying hallucinations. Now, these are specialized literature has now ascertained typically they fall into three distinct categories. One, on these sleep paralysis episodes, you have a sensed presence. It's an intruder hallucination in which the person feels the presence of an evil, threatening individual. So how do you know if it's demonic? I will tell you in a moment. Incubus hallucinations, in which the person might feel someone or something pressing down uncomfortably, even painfully, on their chest or abdomen. Now, you have what's called incubus and succubus. Incubus will attack women, and succubus will attack men. It's very violent. It is very aggressive. There is no physical relations with that actual person. It doesn't happen. I'm telling you now, it doesn't happen. Nope. Angels, demons did not have relations with women and had babies named Nephilim. Sorry, didn't happen. Nephilim means fierce warriors in the Septuagint. And actually, Genesis chapter 6, verse 4 says the Nephilim existed before and after the sons of God had relations with women. So therefore, the Nephilim could not have been the offspring of demons and women. And furthermore, the sons of God were not the demons. They were actually the sons of Seth, the third child of Adam and Eve. Moving on. Now, there is vestibular motor hallucinations during which the individual thinks they are floating sometimes, flying or moving. Many people talk about this as out-of-body experiences. So among the types of dreamlike hallucinations listed, the first type, it's a sensed presence. That's one of the most commonly experienced issues that people will have with sleep paralysis. See, as for the time of sleep at which sleep paralysis, with or without hallucinations, normally takes place, there's no single answer. According to a study that was published in the Journal of Sleep Research, interesting, sleep paralysis typically happens soon after falling asleep, at some point during the course of sleep, or a little before the person's usual time of awakening. So the authors of the study note that the most common instance for sleep paralysis are, in fact, when they're actually at some point during the course of sleep. And that usually takes place 1 to 3 hours from falling asleep. So what they're saying is most sleep paralysis episodes in this research happens just 1 to 3 hours after sleep when the conscious is slowly drifting, the subconscious is taking over the body. Now, some people say, in fact, these visions and sensations can seem so realistic to many that they may think that they're having a paranormal experience or even subjected to strange tests and rituals, including, my dear friends, alien species. There's a lot of people who have experienced sleep paralysis who say that they see this gray, this alien figure, and these alien figures do things to their bodies. Understand, sleep paralysis sometimes can last up to an hour or two. So it just depends on the episode itself. Not all sleep paralysis lasts 1 to 2 minutes, which is terribly frightening. Now, witness accounts of such hallucinations can be truly unsettling. And a number of long-time experience, such as the Proud of his Dark Intrusions, there's a book called Dark Intrusions, have offered detailed accounts of years of uncanny nightly encounters. So one person said that his nightmarish hallucination said he felt as if someone knelt on his chest and like he was being choked out. Another person spoke of a nighttime assailant that takes pleasure in tormenting her in many, many different ways. Sometimes, she says, she'll even hallucinate her partner's lying next to her and laughing evil at me and siding with the shadowy figure. So that would be terrible if you think about that. I mean, you have a partner, and you're sleeping, and then all of a sudden you're startled. You can't move. You can't say anything, but your partner's over here laughing this evil laugh at you while you're seeing this horrible figure laugh at you at the same time. That would be terrifying for anybody. Now, although usually people with sleep paralysis report experiencing terrifying hallucinations, a happy few actually point to a state of bliss that makes them look forward to these episodes. There was a study that was conducted by James Allen Cheyenne from the University of Waterloo in Ontario. So if you guys want to look that up in Canada, it suggests that people who most often described experiencing positive feelings and sensations during an episode of sleep paralysis are those who are prone to vestibular motor hallucinations. So these hallucinations were found to involve feelings of floating or out-of-body experiences, which are associated with feelings of bliss rather than fear. So in contrast to the other-oriented nature of the intruder and incubus hallucination, these experiences are much more focused on the experience of the person. And it's true. So not all sleep paralysis episodes are evil. There's a lot of people who've told me, when they go to sleep and then they had this out-of-body experience and they can see this, and it's very real to them. It's 100% real to them, just as it is 100% real to them when they see this horrible, terrible figure. Now, many people actually thought that Annalise Mikkel, Emily Rose, suffered from recurrent isolated sleep paralysis because she would actually describe as a ghastly figure, to where she was catatonic and she couldn't move. She couldn't say anything. But this was so real to her that this ghastly figure that she said would actually breathe on her. And she could smell his putrid breath, is how she described it. It was warm. It smelled like rotted, like death. And it was 100% real to her. I can't imagine. So I talked about that. There was a 2016 study regarding who is at risk of sleep paralysis. And it says that it's surprisingly common. You're not alone out there, folks, if you're experiencing this. But that determining accurate prevalence rates, it's complicated. So, because researchers and study participants alike have different understandings of what counts as sleep paralysis. There was a recent review of the available data. It suggests that 7.6% of the population have experienced at least one episode throughout their lifetimes. At least one. Now, that said, the numbers may even be higher. So there's a lot of debate as far as what causes it. Now, this is really interesting. Children, there was a study that was done, and I wanted to pass this on, a recurrent isolated sleep paralysis. That's when you have it more than once, you have it multiple times. There was a study that said it starts often in adolescence. And actually 28.3% of students apparently experience it. So perhaps maybe when the kids say that they see this big bad monster, it is possible that they are having a sleep paralysis episode. Moreover, people, they say, with poor hygiene. Now, I'm not talking about smelling bad. For instance, those who sleep too much or too little may also be more likely to experience sleep paralysis. It's really interesting. This was on the Sleep Medicine Review, and pretty fascinating. Specifically, this is what they found. Excessively short sleep, which is fewer than 6 hours a night, or longer sleep, over 9 hours sleep duration and napping, especially long naps over 2 hours. The study says that they were more associated with increased odds of sleep paralysis. That's pretty interesting. So there's so much more that I could talk about this. So what can you do to prevent it? Well, these are according to the study, and then we're going to talk about demons and how we can know if it's demonic or not. How can you prevent it? Well, again, I've mentioned psychotherapy, but they also say try not to fall asleep on your back. Studies, as I mentioned, have shown that sleep paralysis episodes are more prevalent when lying on one's back when going to sleep. Try to ensure on a regular basis that your sleep will not be disrupted, since repeatedly waking up during the night has been flagged as a potential risk factor. Avoiding overuse of stimulants such as tobacco and alcohol. Coffee, surprisingly, has not been deemed risky in this context. So for those coffee lovers out there, they have not found that coffee actually contributes to an increase of sleep paralysis episodes. Though the evidence of these effects, chances of experiencing sleep paralysis is mixed, you have to be fair. They also say learn meditation, muscle relaxation techniques may help you better cope with the experience. And persisting in the attempt to move extremities, such as fingers or toes during sleep paralysis, also seems to help disrupt the experience. So they're trying to, they say when you have this episode, when you have this issue, continue to try to move your fingers, move your toes, move something. Once you begin, and here's the study, once you begin to move or are able to move a finger, able to move a toe or a leg, once you do that, then that manifestation that you're seeing of this horrible figure disappears. That's sleep paralysis. So let's talk a little bit about, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So let's talk about how we know if it's demonic, because that really is what a lot of people want to know. And I understand. I get it, because it's scary, especially when you're dealing with this figure you see and you're frightened. Totally understand. As I mentioned, there's two types of sleep paralysis. There's what's known as ISP, which is isolated sleep paralysis. It's very common. It's infrequent, and usually it's short in duration. 1 to 2 minutes, maybe 3 at the most, but that's pretty long for isolated sleep paralysis episode. For those of you who want to know, isolated sleep paralysis episodes, they are generally short, and they are typically associated with the intruder and the incubus hallucinations. They are the ones that's most common when you see this horrible figure. Now, there have been some studies, this is rare, where an isolated sleep paralysis episode has lasted for up to a half an hour. But that's really rare. So that would be terrible. I mean, completely catatonic, not being able to move or speak for a half an hour. But again, rare. Narcolepsy we talked about, so you have to be careful with this. RISP, recurrent isolated sleep paralysis, episodes can last up to an hour or even longer. And that RISP is more prone to what's called out-of-body experiences. So in isolated sleep paralysis, where you don't have them very often, you're more apt to get the hallucination, the scary ones. RISP, where you have them often, they are primarily out-of-body experiences. Okay. When you're dealing with a demonic issue and you have these, let's say you have an isolated sleep, I'm going to turn this chat on for everybody because I promised I would. Okay, there we go. So let's talk about because I know tomorrow people are going to say, well, can you talk about isolated or sleep paralysis? If you're dealing with the demonic issue, so let's say you have this horrible isolated sleep paralysis episode and you're terrified and you see this figure and it lasts 1 to 3 minutes. You can't move, you can't scream, you can't do anything. You are terrified. But then it goes away when your consciousness now controls the brain. Your consciousness is in control, subconscious is no longer projecting this image. If nothing else is happening in your home, nothing, and there are no actual, let's say if you're dealing with the incubus and succubus, there's no manifestation on the body that appears to be traumatic, then you're dealing with sleep paralysis. When you're dealing with a true demonic, you're going to have what's called demonic infestation episodes. Religious objects are going to be desecrated. You're going to hear bangings, sometimes in 3 as a form of mockery, but not all the time. Sometimes you'll have a term called ectoplasm, which liquid oozing from the walls or the floors. You will have the smell of rotten flesh or sulfur. Animals are terrified. There's a lot of things that go along with demonic infestation. You know there's something there. And these things occur not in your sleep state. So these things occur when you're wide awake. So sometimes heavy objects will be thrown across the room. If you have none of those episodes and you're having these sleep paralysis episodes where these figures go away, but there's nothing else there, then that's what you're dealing with, a sleep paralysis episode. Now, here's the deal, and this is really important to understand, because I have to be careful, because I don't know who's watching or who's listening. So there might be children, even though this really isn't for children, but there might be children who are listening. When you're dealing with incubus in a succubus case, that is a demonic entity that will attack you in a sexual nature. There is no actual act of adult behavior. You get what I'm saying? There is no actual act. It actually is a manipulation of the muscles. So it's a violent manipulation of the muscles. So when I worked the case, she was 68 years old. She had a violent, unbelievably violent incubus case. Her doctor, I spoke to her doctor, I spoke to her family. They could not explain what was going on to her. They had no explanation. She had trauma in her private region and her anal region. And she described to me that it was like a plunger being used. It was very violent. But she would also have activity outside of these episodes in her home. So that immediately got my attention, obviously, because we have to focus on the minor rite of exorcism, and we have to pray a prayer of deliverance to remove this. So there will be some, if it's a true demonic with an incubus and succubus, there is going to be some type of physical manifestation on the body that will show that trauma has occurred. As well as, I was at Texas. I actually worked with her for 3 years. And that was a tough case. I think it was probably one of the hardest cases I've worked, because I grew to love her. She was like a grandma. You know, she was the sweetest soul. She was a tough woman. Her family was beautiful. They were wonderful. And when I got involved, when you go to her house, she just wanted to take care of you, to feed you, to make sure you're okay, even though she was going through this trauma. And so I worked with her for 3 years. Now, she would describe them as bed walkers. 3 10-pound bed walkers. That's what she described them as. That these 3 10-pound dogs, that they would walk towards her, and then they would hold her down and violently attack her. So for 3 years, I worked with her, and I was not able to deliver completely. The last year of her life, she still felt the 3 10-pound bed walkers, but they would no longer touch her. But she would still feel them walking on her bed, but that's it. There was no more attacking. And so the last year of her life, she was so happy, because she dealt with this for 5 years. 5 years. No one would help her. Not only would no one would help her, but the people that would help her charged her for a lot of money. And so when her family contacted me and they said, okay, how much is this going to cost? Doesn't cost anything. Well, what do you mean? How much money are we supposed to give your ministry? We just need to know. It doesn't cost anything. I don't want any money. And I remember speaking to her daughter that night, and she said, no, wait a minute. You're not wanting anything for this. No, I have been doing this for all these years. I don't charge, never have, never will. So that alone. And then she said, well, you're going to take her. She's not Catholic. You'll accept, you'll still, of course I will. Because they have been, they were abused. They were rejected for all those years, taken advantage of by all these con artists. They never helped her. Now, actually, they caused it even to be more worse. Thank you. To be even worse. And so yeah, I got involved with, and I worked with her for 3 years. But that was the case that I actually thought about leaving the ministry. That was the one case that affected me so much that I truly thought about retiring and ending it. Ending the ministry. That was it. No more. I'm not doing it. And that was because I worked with her and worked with her and worked with her, and nothing was working. Nothing. And I've told this story before, and I went to a very good person that was just a sweetheart of a person. Well, this is my mentor actually. And I said, look, I'm doing this. Thank you. I said, I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing this. And he said, well, the problem is all I hear is get off the cross and let Jesus have a try. And when he said that, like I got very angry with him. I said, that's really rude. I'm spilling my guts out to you and telling you. And he said, James, you're not doing anything. What you're doing is feeding ego. You're not doing anything. This person will be delivered in God's time, not yours. And I needed to hear that because I was being attacked at that time emotionally because I couldn't make it go away. And because I grew to love this person and her family. So we pushed through, and the last year of her life, it wasn't long after that talk that I surrendered to God. And I said, okay, I'm going to let ego out of it, because it wasn't ego as a bad thing. Sometimes we think ego is a bad thing. It wasn't that it was bad. It was ego like I'm the greatest. It was because I was saying I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Like, no. Let the prayers work. Just be an instrument for the prayers and it will work. And I just had to be reminded of that. So I have not. What is that? The skin mirror? No, what is that? Yeah, I was trying to do it myself, and I just learned very quickly that you just can't, as indie film. Okay, I just learned that when you surrender that and you say, okay, I know that I'm not in charge here, and it just made life a lot easier. So, but it was tough. That was the one, because when I go into a case, I'm Bishop Long, Bishop Stoic, Bishop Long, and let's focus. Let's get. We're doing this. We're doing A, B, C. I have everything. I have an outline of how we're going to approach this, and it's not because I don't care. It's just because you have to keep your emotions in check. Because if you don't, then the demonic can manipulate that, and it certainly did in that situation. But we pushed through, and there we go. So. Yeah, sleep paralysis. Yeah. Okay. So if you have any questions, if you have any questions, you can ask now. I have a lot of other topics that we all learn. That's right. We all learn. It's every day. No, this was actually, Ella says, I'm very sorry that you went through that, helping her. I understand what you're saying. Actually, I needed that. That was a very, very important lesson that I needed to learn, because it was, I was taking it personal, as if my faith wasn't good enough to help relieve this burden for this woman. And I needed that. I needed that reminder. Just believe in the prayer. Keep your faith strong in God. She'll be delivered in God's time. So for me, it was a lesson that I needed really, really badly. And it was a good lesson. It was a very good. And that that people, they always say, I don't deliver a person. I hear people all say, well, I've delivered this person. You didn't do anything. See, that's the problem. Now you're feeding ego. You did nothing. God delivered that person, not you. You are an instrument that God used to deliver that person. But I hear exorcists sometimes, oh, I did this and I did that. I'm like, well, you know what? You're probably going to learn the lesson that I had to learn a long time ago. Because when you start using the I, that's when you get in trouble. Yeah, struggle with self-reliance. Sometimes you just got to say, I got to do it. I got to take charge. And certainly with exorcisms, you can't. You have to be careful. Okay, if you have any questions regarding to the paranormal, regarding demonology, I'll be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. I do have some other really cool topics that I want to discuss. So feel free to jump in. By the way, I am excuse me, I am curious for you guys. Thank you for following. Those of you who are brand new, if you've followed, and for subscribing, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the 64,000 likes. Thank you for that. I appreciate that very, very much. But I am curious. Thank you. I am curious. What would you like for me to teach about in the paranormal? Because I want to hear from you. I pretty much taught about almost everything that I think we can talk about. So, yeah. And thank you for Tanya for reminding me. A lot of people ask me all the time, about what books I would suggest you read. Okay. Oh, you're very welcome. Dark Siege, you have to get, guys. NDE, I think I am going to do it NDE again talk. I think I am going to do that because I haven't done that in a while. So I think, oh, how do you know when you're dealing with a demon versus a human person? I can answer that question. I write a book, but I don't push it. I just, if people find it online, they find it online, and I'm just not really, I'm not a good salesman. So, but here, Dark Siege. Go to darksiege.com. Now, my friend Jason McLeod, he actually worked with the Warrens. He was trained by the Warrens. I knew Lorraine. I did not know Ed, but I did know Lorraine. And what I strongly suggest you do is go and get those books. Dark Siege. There are 2 books. They are phenomenal. And I'm telling you, you will not regret it. Darksiege.com, SIEGE. And I loved these books. Love them. Thank you very much. I appreciate you putting that in. Darksiege.com. You got to get them, guys. He writes about a case that he worked, and he asked me if I would be willing to endorse them. I'm like, and I read the books, and I was like, you better believe I'm going to endorse these books. I mean, because they are that good. And well, he's a demonologist. And like I said, thank you, Mr. Producer. He's putting it up there on the screen. And as I mentioned, he even worked with the Warrens. Thanks for ignoring me. It's okay. Much respect. Okay. I have 2 computers running, 4 different programs right now. And I have right now a lot of questions on Messenger, TikTok, or X. I have people asking questions here on the chat room of Facebook, YouTube, and KGREDB Radio. And I have people who are asking questions here on TikTok. I'm not ignoring you, but you have to remember you're not the only person asking a question. So let's kind of stop with the ignoring. No. So it's good. It's good. You've apologized. What's your question there? Because I'm not ignoring anybody. It's all good. What's your question? Scorpio 18. What's your question? Demons of addiction, please. I don't understand. Okay. Well, there's a demon of addiction that can fall under what's called ordinary demonic activity. And okay, so Scorpio, what's your question? Scorpio. Poltergeist. Poltergeist actually is now hold on, everybody. I'm asking a question. I'm answering a question. So hold on. Okay. So just hold on. Okay. Gazelli says you were going to ask about Poltergeist too. Okay. Hold on. I'm not reading the chat anymore because I'm answering a question. Poltergeist. Poltergeist actually means noisy ghost. It's not a ghost at all. It has nothing to do with a ghost. It's a negative energy that someone is omitting. They're going through extreme emotional stress. So poltergeist activity occurs when there's a lot of fighting, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety within the home or within the individual. And light bulbs will pop, appliances will go off. Sometimes fire can occur. And what I've always found is that when you get the person who is going through the extreme emotional stress, when you get them counseling or help to reduce the anxiety, the activity will almost stop completely. Now, sometimes you have what's called residual activity, where the energy is still there, but on a very limited basis. I can perform 1,000 minor rite of exorcisms in a home that has poltergeist activity, and it does absolutely nothing because it's not demonic. It's not demonic at all. It is energy, and that's energy. It's not so science fiction. You're walking. I've talked about this before. You're walking down the street. A person is walking towards you. You don't know them, And you don't want to know them because they're emitting such negative energy, incredible energy. That's energy. Even Einstein talked energy, spoke about energy. But you're like, nope, I'm going to move away from that person. And you do. Person walks in a room, doesn't have to say a word. Just their presence, people flock to them. That's positive energy. It's all energy. And so that's what poltergeist is. Now, can a malevolent spirit that is not demonic, attach itself to the poltergeist energy to amplify the activity? Well, certainly it can. But can demonic entities attach itself to poltergeist activity? It doesn't need to. That's very important to understand. It does not have to attach itself to manifest or cause more activity. It's not contingent upon that. Now, what the demonic will do is the demonic will play on those emotions that are causing this amplified negative energy. And that is through what's called ordinary demonic activity. So ordinary demonic activity, people were talking about the demons of addiction. Ordinary demonic activity is when the demons will intrude into your life and try to tempt you to do something that you shouldn't do, or amplify the anger. For example, if someone is going through extreme anger and they're just bursting this anger and they can't control it. They just let go. They can't control their anger. Well, the demon can certainly, through ordinary demonic activity, amplify that to cause the activity to increase. But they don't need the poltergeist activity to manifest. But they will certainly prey on it. Not pray as in pray to God, prey on it as like a predator. This has nothing to do, poltergeist has nothing, absolutely 100%. It is not demonic. It does not respond to prayer. It does not respond to sacramentals of the church like holy water, oil, incense. It doesn't affect, it doesn't respond to those things at all. You're welcome. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Poltergeist is a really confused topic because a lot of people think poltergeist with demon. No, not at all. Not absolutely. Here's why. Because poltergeist can, thank you, Margaret. Poltergeist can be very violent. And so what happens is because there's poltergeist activity and because it is violent, they immediately assume that's demonic, and it's not. Well, yeah, sure. The Hostage, Tanya is asking, are there any of the books you recommend? I've already read Dark Seas. Yeah. Hostage to the Devil by Malachi Martin is a fantastic book. Father Gabriel Morth has some books out. There are a few things I'm kind of scratch my head and say, I don't know if I necessarily believe in some of those things, but Father Gabriel Morth's books are very good. And also, if you like theology, Thomas Aquinas. Thomas Aquinas has a section in Summa Theologica that is speaks about angels and demons. Is there more than one gates of hell? There is. Yeah, there are. The gates of hell in Kentucky is what the difference is as far as the state. But yeah, there are other locations that are known as the gates of hell. Yep, absolutely. A past loved one can 100% visit us. No question about that at all. What was the name of that book? It was Hostage and the Devil. Oh, you're talking about Summa Theologica, Thomas Aquinas. It's a tough read. If you're not used to that type of theology. I love the Summa because it's a deep theological thinking, but he does have a section on angels and demons there. So you're welcome. What demonic case was your most dangerous in which you felt seriously threatened? Well, see, that would be the gates of hell, but that really wasn't. I say the gates of hell cemetery that I named in over 20 years ago. That was probably the one that I actually felt really threatened because I didn't know what it was that I saw. I'll do a presentation on the gates of hell again, but. Yeah, that was a crazy case. Crazy. If you've ever had a terrifying experience in the past, will reading about it? Well, I mean, I won't. Will reading about it make you vulnerable? Not necessarily as far as vulnerable, but it can bring up emotions and stir those emotions if they've not been dealt with. If past one's love can visit you, why would they choose not to? Because they can't do anything without the permission of God. So, I can't tell you how many times there have been many cases animals do go to heaven without question. Absolutely, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Anybody who says that they don't they clearly did not read scripture. So don't let anybody. There's a lot of people asking me questions. Don't let anybody, no one tell you that animals do not go to heaven. They absolutely do. Revelation speaks that there will be animals in heaven. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, you will see your fur baby in heaven. Now, there was a question that I'm trying to answer regarding loved ones. There were cases where I've been to a lot of funerals as a presider, and I've seen. I did a duet once on TikTok where there was a balloon, and they had several balloons there, and they weren't tied down or anything. They were just there by the coffin, and I was there. I witnessed this thing, and there was a one of the loved ones that were really just bawling, and I saw this balloon just start going this way. And here's people say, well, it's just the wind. No, it was going this way, and then it turned this way towards her. Now, if the balloons are going to move, they're going to continue going this way for the air. There was nobody moving. There was no air pushing this way. It was just simply and stopped and then moved over right towards her. And I've seen that a couple of times. I've experienced people who have died, and they've come back to life, and they've told me what they've seen their loved ones. They were clinically dead. Well, I know I saw my mom, but without question, 100% I saw it. So maybe this is what Judy Ann, maybe we'll do this. Judy Ann helps me remember because my brain goes a million times, but miles per hour. But why don't we do this? Next week, we will do near-death experiences. I will teach on NDEs, near-death experience. And then the week after, I'm going to do a presentation on the gates of hell. Because I really want to talk about it, because that'll give me some time to go visit the gates of hell. So, next Friday, my paranormal shows are on Friday. Okay. A presentation on hell? Yeah, I can do that. I'll probably do that on a Sunday or Wednesday sometime. He approached you? Yeah. They can. I believe that our loved ones can come to us in a dream. There are a lot of ways that our loved ones can come to us. Many times, I can't tell you, Jennifer, how many times people have told me that sometimes they will smell their dad passed away, and they will smell his perfume or his cologne, or their mom passed away, and they will smell the perfume. And when they're wide awake. Matter of fact, Miss Wilma had that experience. Her father had Old Spice. And there's no Old Spice in their medicine cabinet. And she was in the bathroom, and she was thinking about her dad, and she started smelling Old Spice. And so I many times that's happened. Yeah, I'm not going to go during the night because the gates of hell is not a place that you really want to go to. Well, how do you know if that's a good question? How do you know if it's a loved one versus something else? You're going to know if it's demonic. The demonic. And here's what I do. If something like there was one time I was walking and doing my normal walk. My mom loved butterflies. My Aunt Mary loved butterflies. And I remember just walking, and I was dealing with some stress. I don't know what it was. And I just remember thinking to myself, man, Mom, I wish you were here. I'd love some advice, because my mom always gave great advice. And this was right when winter was happening. It wasn't that long ago. And all the butterflies, they're long gone. There was this butterfly that just kept kind of circling and then circling around me. I was like, what in the world? And at first I didn't notice it, but it just kept circling, and then it would go down, and then I would walk, and then it would, as soon as I was passing it, it would fly up and then circle me, and then it would go right back down in front of me, and I was walk past it. It went right back up, circled me, and I thought, okay. That was I didn't need anything else. I was like, okay, I know that you're here. I appreciate that. And that was it. But you got to be careful. You have to be careful with that. because the demonic can use these type of things to cause you to now start connecting or wanting to connect. And what happens, what people do is then they're like, well, no, don't go butterfly, don't go butterfly. And then they get a Ouija board. And then they start using these devices that they think they're speaking to the loved ones, and they're not. So I caution you, don't do that. Don't do that. So yeah, it's oh yeah, so yeah, or cigarettes, right. So that's what I do. That's what I do is when I have these subtle moments, I acknowledge them, but I don't push it, because you don't want to do that, because the moment you start getting this crazy books out, or not books, but pendulums and all this other stuff, you do not want to do with it, because I'm telling you, that's dangerous stuff. And that's where people get into trouble. And I encourage you, don't do it. It's not good. Nothing good's going to come from it. It is. And these stupid Ouija boards are just dangerous stuff. I talked about the mediums the other day. Yeah, pendulums are bad. No. Here's why. You see this. You see this a lot, don't you? People using pendulums. Here's why pendulums are bad. You're holding some device, a chain or whatever, and at the end there's a weighted object. Sometimes it's a little stone. Sometimes it can be anything. It's a weighted object, or sometimes it's a ring. But you'll ask this spirit a question. Now, here's why it is dangerous, folks. The person who is holding the pendulum is allowing the spirit to manipulate their hands, because you ask a question and all of a sudden, if it starts doing this, that's a yes. If it starts doing this, that's a no. So the person who is asking a question to the spirit, they're allowing the spirit to use and utilize their hands. That's a form of possession. Send me a Gazelle. Send me a message on Facebook, because I have over 900 messages. Well, just today on TikTok, I have 14,000 messages on TikTok. So send me a message on Facebook regarding your item, and no, don't throw it out. Don't throw it out. Send it to me. I will bless it, and then I will send you a prayer that you can pray as well. Just go to Bishop James Long. BishopJamesLong.com. Scroll down to where it says social media links, or social media, whatever, and click on where it says Facebook. That's what you need to do. Send me a message there, and I'll answer it later on. But that's the best way. Yeah. See, here's what you don't want to throw these things out. People think you should or burn them. You have to seal them. You have to bless them. Not only do you have to bless them and seal them, but you also have to then bless your home. And I will teach you how to do that. For example, a family. Now, I'm telling a story, so I'm not going to be able to answer questions. Okay, so just and that's so sad, but I have to say it. So a family. This woman, she loved to collect these weird things, and this family loved these bad people who went around doing terrible things. Well, John Wayne Gacy is one of them. And so this family decided that they want to purchase paintings that John Wayne Gacy did. You can't buy them anymore, obviously, because he's been unalived by the state. And so, but he would paint a lot, and he would sell these paintings for his defense. And so sometimes it's rare, but you can get your hands on these things, which don't. But they bought this stuff, and they brought it home, and then they started having some real violent activity in their home. And so these have been blessed. But here is a picture, a painting that Gacy did. Of course, there it's on this side. There's his signature there. And that's a very famous picture. But he actually painted these a lot. And on this here is allegedly he had actually like poked his finger, and he put like a little blood on here. He was a sick man. So this is an original Gacy painting, and they had all kinds of crazy activity occurring in their home. And actually, the another family ordered one of these stupid paintings, and I haven't got it blessed yet because it's in my storage unit. So I got to get a frame. But that one, very uncomfortable. I've got to get around to blessing that. But this is another that Casey did, which is an original. And of all people, he would draw Christ. But anyway, there are several others, but they brought it home. And when they brought it home, then they had horrible activity occurring in their home, and they wanted to know why. So again, why do I have these pictures? Number one, I take it from people's homes, and then I bless them. And then I teach about these objects so that you can actually see it, so that you can know that these things exist. You can see what they look like, and you can stay away from them. Because as an educator and as an exorcist, as a clergy, it's my job to remove these items, then to teach people how they can pray in their home, what prayer they use, and how we can get rid of any type of negative energy that is there because of these items. So as an educator, I teach about these things. Again, if I taught you about this doll that I had that apparently caused all this havoc in this family, well, that's one thing. But now if you have a visual and you can actually see it. So when I was at a paranormal conference, I brought some of these items, and they just they want nothing to do with it. John Wayne Gacy. Yeah, you send them to me. You can go on bishopjameslong.com, bishopjameslong.com, and scroll down, and it has the ministry's P.O. box there. And so if you're going to send me an item, this is what I ask. You at least tell me what has happened in your home and explain what this item is, and then I will get back to you. The best way to call you, and then I'll get back with you, and then I will teach you what you can do in your own home to pray and to do a particular prayer to remove any type of residual. So yeah, it's that's what we got to do this. Yeah. Oh, Al Capone. Oh, yeah. It's there's a lot of people that actually use mirrors, and there's a term called mirroring, and that's a bad stuff. There's people who will place candles in front of a mirror. This was really big into in spiritualism in the 1890s, where they would try to contact a spirit through mirrors. And so I believe I have met people. Someone's asking, do I believe mediums are bad? So let me just say this. I know people who are truly gifted. 100%. I can't deny it. I've actually met them. I know them. And I believe that there's a lot of people who claim to be mediums who are as psychic or medium as my left foot. Because I think there's a lot of scamming, that's going on. Because I talked about this the other day. I don't like when people do these readings for people and it's all generic. It's all general. I see an older woman. She has gray hair. Well, yeah, most people who know an older woman, she has gray hair and they died. Okay, that is so general. It's such a general statement. And then they wait for these cold readings. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not. And I'm not a fan of people taking advantage of people suffering, because I've seen it, especially as clergy. There are people who just can't get over that grieving process. And what they do is take advantage and keep those people in the stage of grieving. And that to me is an abomination. Now, I'm talking about people who purposely prey on those people. That's a big difference. So I do know people who are 100% legitimate, without question. And but I also know there's a lot of people who, the mirrors, well, what they'll do is they'll put I'm not going to tell you because I'm not going to tell you how they do it, because I don't want to give people any ideas, because it's stupid. But they'll put candles in front of this particular mirror, and then they'll channel whatever type of spirit that they want to channel. And that's happened quite often. And then they do it, and then they want to know why all hell breaks loose in their home after they do it. Well, Einstein, probably because of that. So yeah, just okay. So if you have any questions, just do me a favor, just because there some people are writing a lot, and I appreciate that, but there's so many chats going on here right now. So you're welcome. So I just, if you have a question, just like be as specific as you can, and then I'll try to do the best I can to answer them. Yeah. I don't like the Black Mirror scrying sessions. It's not a good thing. Just stay away from it. Stay away from it. You kind of lost all faith. Why'd you lose faith, Dean? Yeah, John Wayne Gacy he did some terrible, terrible, terrible things. So yeah, you can Google John Wayne Gacy. Stuff in your what? Oh, stuff in your life? Alexandria, how can I deal with dead people that come to me? Well, my first question is, how do you know that they're dead people? And I would also say, here's what I would do. If you truly believe that you're gifted in that, I would find somebody who is legitimately gifted and then ask perhaps if they can help you, if they can teach you. I am not a medium. And so therefore I would not be the right person to guide you in that way, because I'm not. But I just caution you that if they begin to violate your free will, then they're no longer good. So if you say, okay, in the name of Jesus Christ, I rebuke you. I don't want this anymore. And if they keep doing it, then there's nothing good about them. They're violating your free will. So stay away from that. Yeah, look here. Bad things will happen to you. What do you mean bad things happening to you? There's a well, thank you there, Karen. So I think Dean was saying bad things happen to in your life. What kind of? I mean, you want to talk to me privately? Oh yeah, Joe, I have. Joe's asking, have you ever found a cursed object in guise of a holy object? I have. There was, there were several items that I have. I'm trying to think of things. There's several. There was even a crucifix that was used for a satanic ritual. And on the back of the crucifix is upside down, and there's pendulums and all this other nonsense. At Christmas about horror. Why is there so much fixation on the dark? Amanda's asking, why do you think there's so much movies at Christmas after dark about horror? Well, there's Krampus. I did a presentation on Krampus. Krampus is a pretty interesting character, and there's a lot of cultural aspects with Krampus as well. But I also think it's Hollywood, I do have the Benedictine bracelets on my website. I have the Benedictine bracelets and the necklaces, so you can just go click on the store link. No, actually, we'll be in January the 19th. I will not. Where is that? Washington, D.C. Yeah. I've never been to Washington. I've never been to Washington. I would like to go, but I've never been. You can go to bishopjameslong.com, click on the store link. I would love it. It would be interesting just to see Washington, just for the historical aspects to it. But I've never been there, and that's a pretty good distance anyway from Kentucky. So the website bishopjameslong.com. I do to Canada, but you have to pay for the shipping, and I'm not. You have to look from Kentucky to Canada, and I really don't know. Hello, Australia. So people are asking questions about Leviticus chapter 20, verse 6. Joey wants to ask. I've never been to Salem, Massachusetts, but that would be pretty amazing. So someone's asking about. Okay, I'm answering a question. Because several people have asked about Leviticus chapter 20, verse 6, that says, if a person turns to medium or necromancers going after them, I will set my face against the person and will cut them off from his people. Yeah, but do you know why it was written? Do you know why that was written? I'll be happy to tell you. First of all, If you want to know, I'll be happy to go into a theological explanation, but I have no problem explaining Leviticus chapter 20, verse 6. Because a lot of people like to attack people who are mediums and psychics. So let me just make this very, very clear. First of all, you have to understand the culture context in which it was written and why it was written, and you cannot take it out of context. It was talking about idolatry, and the whole passage was talking about false idols, idolatry, and false worship of other gods, false gods. What was occurring at that time is paganism was enculturating into the monotheistic religion of the Hebrews, of Yahweh. And there was a lot of integrating with the paganistic beliefs on a god of snow, god of rain, god of tree, god of earth, god of flowers, god of butterflies. I mean, just whatever, god of all these things. What was happening with these mediums, you have to understand terminology is different. You're talking about 3,000, 4,000 years of history. So our terminology that we used in 3,000 years ago is not the same that we understand it as today. That's obvious. For example, 3,000 years ago, they wouldn't, if you said computer to them, they would look at you like you're crazy. Airplane, etc. When you're understanding mediums, what was happening at this time is there was a lot of fraud occurring. And what you would have to go to these particular mediums, and if your loved one passed away, you would have to offer a certain amount of shekels to their gods, because if you didn't, then their gods would raise the person up and punish them for eternity. So if god of snow or god of tree or whatever it is. So if there's, let's say your loved one passed away, and paganism, this different cultural belief was integrating with the Hebrew culture, and your loved one passed away, and they told you, well, we have 15 different gods and you have to have 5 shekels for each god. And if you don't, then one of the gods is going to raise your loved one up and punish them forever. So then you give them 5 shekels. Well, then a year or two later, maybe someone else passes away. You go to that medium, that intermediary, if you will, and you say, okay, well, I have another person who's passed away. I'm going to give you 5 shekels for each. Oh, no. We now have 30 gods, and now it's 10 shekels for each god. So what was occurring at that time was fraud. These people were committing blatant fraud, and they were telling you, you have to give a certain amount of money to these gods, these pagan gods, in order for your loved one not to be tortured in the afterlife. That was occurring. That's what it's talking about. Necromancy was raising people from the dead to punish them if you didn't give enough money to their gods. So when you got to take that, you have to understand the context in which scripture was written. That's why it talks about, even in Deuteronomy, don't throw your loved one, your firstborn, into the fire, into a offering. I'm not going to give its name. But what people would do is they would actually, in their firstborn, they would throw the baby into a fire, the firstborn, offering it to a particular demonic. But that was enculturating. That was the belief that you have to give this sacrifice. But there was a lot of fraud that was occurring at this time. And that is why we see Leviticus chapter 20, verse 6. And that's why we see when it even says Deuteronomy, don't throw your baby to the fire. Oh, that's why. So you don't do it. It's a bad thing. So there we go. Oh, gosh. I've seen a lot of signs that God exists. A lot of signs. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I can't give you just one. There are so many. I mean, there's so many. I couldn't even begin to tell you one. Even prayer. And when I do hospital ministry, and okay, and someone was almost practically in a catatonic state, but the moment we began to pray, the person's lips began to move, praying the prayer. I've seen I tell you what, the most amazing miracle that I've seen. Here's one, and I'm not going to leave. I'm going to stay on TikTok for a little longer. But I was at a paranormal conference. And I talked about this before. I was at a paranormal conference, and they asked me to do mass on Sunday, and I said yes. Normally I would never, but I said okay. So I was there, and it was during communion, and a guy walked up to me, and I've told this story before, but just indulge me for a moment. And he came up to me and he did this. And what that means is you have to offer a blessing. So they can't receive communion. And the music was playing, so no one heard our conversation. He was the last one. And I said, would you like to receive communion? And he started having tears in his eyes, and he said, I can't. So why not? And he said, because my wife cheated on me, and she was terrible, and we got a divorce. And my pastor told me I was living in adultery and sin because of it, and then I could never receive communion. And I said, how long has this been since you've received communion? He said, 10 years. And then I said, would you like to receive communion today? And then he started crying, his tears, and he said yes. And he started shaking. And then I held the Eucharist. I said, the body of Christ. And he received and sobbed. The man sobbed. So, I was thinking probably people probably thinking, well, what this long say this poor guy? But he was crying and shaking. And so I just remember holding him, giving him a big hug, and just let him know it's going to be okay. And him letting that go, that guilt, because that pastor who had no business calling himself a pastor, who put that blame on him and refused to give him communion because of the actions of his wife, his ex-wife. I was appalled, absolutely appalled. But I saw the power of receiving the Eucharist and what it did for that man, and how it was a changed man after that. Truly changed. Truly changed. Yeah, that's a good topic. Okay, unfortunately, for those of you who are on TikTok, I'm not leaving. For those of you who are on Spreaker, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. I want to remind you that tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do have night prayer. So it's strictly audio. It's on Spreaker. So if you want to join us, you can just simply go to bishopjameslong.com, scroll down to where it says night prayer, click it. It takes you right there. But at TikTok, again, I'm not leaving. I want to remind you all that your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. Remember, you're priceless. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and KGRADB Radio. God bless, and we'll see you next week. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.